June 1944, Saipan, Mariana Islands. The battle for this tiny Pacific island has become hell on earth. Japanese defenders are entrenched in caves and bunkers, refusing to surrender. Civilians, trapped between armies, live in constant fear. Enter Guy Gabaldon, a 17-year-old Marine from Los Angeles. He's small, quick, and different from most Marines. Unlike many of his comrades, he speaks Japanese fluently, a skill he learned growing up in East Los Angeles, immersed in the local Japanese-American community. Most Marines stormed Japanese positions with guns and grenades, facing fierce resistance. But Guy sees another way. He thinks, these men don't have to die. Maybe I can get them to surrender instead. He's not supposed to do it. It's dangerous. The Japanese soldiers have orders. Fight to the death. Anyone who surrenders faces shame or death by their own hands. But Guy doesn't care. That night, armed with just his courage, a flashlight, and his knowledge of Japanese culture, he slips out of the Marine lines. He approaches a cave. The sound of voices inside, soldiers arguing, the occasional scream, fills the humid night air. His heart pounds. One wrong move, and he could be shot instantly. He shouts in Japanese, "You don't have to die. Come out peacefully. We'll treat you with respect." Inside the cave, soldiers hesitate. They've been taught surrender is dishonorable, unthinkable. But Guy doesn't shout threats. He talks. He persuades. He appeals to their fear, their humanity, and sometimes their hope for survival. One by one, they emerge, carefully, slowly, hands raised. Guy leads them to the Marine lines. The soldiers and civilians are alive, unharmed. By the end of the campaign, Guy Gabaldon is credited with convincing more than 1,300 Japanese troops and civilians to surrender peacefully, a number larger than many entire battalions. He becomes known among the Marines as the Pied Piper of Saipan, a nickname that hints at his almost magical ability to lead men out of death. But for Guy, it's not about glory. Every life spared is a life he didn't have to take. Every surrender is a tiny rebellion against the relentless cycle of death that has engulfed Saipan. And yet, as he slips back into the shadows for the next night's mission, he knows every time he goes out, the stakes are life or death, for him and for those he's trying to save. June 1944, Saipan, Mariana Islands. The island is chaos. Artillery shells explode in the distance. Smoke from burning villages drifts across the cliffs. Marines fight in hot, humid conditions against a foe trained to die rather than surrender. Guy Gabaldon moves through the shadows. Unlike his fellow Marines, he isn't carrying a rifle for combat tonight. Instead, he has a small flashlight, his wits, and his Japanese language skills. Every step he takes could be his last. The caves on Saipan are labyrinthine, tight, dark, and full of Japanese soldiers hiding from the bombardment. Most Marines would never dare enter. Most Marines wouldn't survive if they tried. But Guy sees an opportunity. He approaches a cave, softly calling out in Japanese, "Brothers, stop hiding. You can survive this. Surrender and no harm will come to you." The first soldier to respond is a young conscript, trembling, barely able to hold his rifle. Guy speaks calmly, explaining the Marines won't kill him if he comes out. Slowly, others follow. Sometimes the soldiers refuse. Some even attempt to shoot at him. Guy uses quick thinking, retreating and repositioning, never escalating violence. He often uses cultural and emotional persuasion, honor, family fear of needless death. One night he stumbles upon a cave with over 100 soldiers and civilians trapped inside. They've been hiding for days without food or water. Guy doesn't panic. He speaks for hours, moving slowly, making them believe they have a choice. You can survive. You can see your families again. You don't have to die for someone else's pride. One by one, they start walking out. Marines on the perimeter are stunned to see hundreds of Japanese soldiers surrender peacefully, led by a single teenage Marine. By the end of the Saipan campaign, Gabaldon's unconventional tactics save hundreds, if not thousands, of lives on both sides, and the nickname Pied Piper of Saipan spreads among Marines. But every mission leaves him exhausted and haunted. The line between bravery and foolishness is thin. One wrong step, one panicked soldier, and he could be dead, or worse, executed by the very soldiers he's trying to save. Guy begins to understand something crucial. The enemy isn't just soldiers. It's fear, indoctrination, and desperation. If you can reach the mind, you can save the body. July 1944. Saipan. The island is a battlefield of fire, smoke, and despair. Japanese troops are entrenched in caves and pillboxes, fully committed to the Bushido Code. Fight to the death, never surrender. Marines storming their positions often die in waves of gunfire and grenades. But Guy Gabaldon is different. He has a plan. He moves at night, alone or in small groups, carrying nothing more than a flashlight, his voice, and an uncanny ability to communicate in Japanese. On one particularly tense night, Guy targets a series of interconnected caves where over 200 Japanese soldiers are hiding. The Marines have tried artillery strikes and small raids. No luck. Every assault costs lives. Guy slips forward under cover of darkness. He calls softly in Japanese, addressing their honor and fear. "You are not dishonored by surrender. Survival is not shame. Walk out with your hands up." Some soldiers mock him, some aim their rifles, but he moves calmly, speaking directly to their minds. Hours pass. One cave at a time, soldiers emerge. Marines, amazed, take prisoners without firing a single shot. Guy's psychological strategy is working. He's turning fear into compliance, desperation into hope. Over the next several weeks, his nightly missions continue. Small caves with a dozen soldiers, hidden bunkers with terrified civilians, even isolated pockets where Japanese snipers lie in wait. By the end of the Saipan campaign, Guy Gabaldon has persuaded more than 1,300 Japanese soldiers and civilians to surrender, an unprecedented feat. Many of these men and women would have otherwise died in combat or committed ritual suicide. Despite the danger, Guy never carries a weapon at night. He relies solely on persuasion, understanding, and courage. His comrades are stunned. One teenage Marine, risking death repeatedly, saves more lives than entire squads armed to the teeth. But the work takes a toll. Guy is physically exhausted and emotionally burdened, haunted by the death he witnesses daily. He understands something few others do. Victory isn't always measured by the number of enemy bodies, but by the lives you save. And as the campaign ends, Gabaldon's name begins to circulate quietly among the Marines, though the wider world will not know the full extent of his heroism for decades. July 1944. Saipan, Mariana Islands. The heat is unbearable. Smoke and fire from artillery shelling fill the air. Japanese soldiers are desperate, entrenched and trained to fight to the death. Most Marines see the caves as death traps, but Guy Gabaldon sees opportunity. One night he volunteers for a mission that even seasoned Marines avoid. A network of caves rumored to house over 300 Japanese soldiers and civilians, including wounded soldiers who cannot fight. Armed only with his flashlight and courage, Guy slips through the jungle. Every step could trigger a sniper shot. Every rustle of leaves could alert an entire cave full of soldiers. He moves silently, speaking softly in Japanese. "You don't have to die. Come out. We will protect you." Suddenly a soldier shouts. Bullets ricochet nearby. Guy dives behind a rock. He waits. His heart pounds. He realizes this is no ordinary night mission. This is a life or death gamble, and his life hangs on the slightest misstep. But Guy's courage and persuasive calm pay off. Slowly, the first group emerges. Some are trembling, some cry, some are too terrified to move. He reassures them, "It's okay, you are safe now." As the night continues, dozens more surrender, including soldiers who would have never considered it without Guy's intervention, Marines on the perimeter watch in disbelief. Over several nights, he repeats the process at different caves, sometimes returning to the same dangerous locations multiple times. By the end of these missions, Gabaldon has personally led hundreds of enemy soldiers and civilians to safety, a feat unmatched in the Pacific theater. The Marines begin to call him the Pied Piper of Saipan, acknowledging his almost magical ability to extract surrender where others see only death. But the danger is relentless. Every night could be his last. Every cave could contain enemies ready to kill, and every life he saves carries the weight of those he cannot reach. Through it all, Gabaldon remains focused. He understands sometimes the most heroic act in war isn't killing the enemy, it's convincing them to live. August 1944. Saipan, Mariana Islands. The battle is over. The island is in ruins. Smoke still rises from destroyed villages and bunkers. Thousands of lives have been lost. But thanks to one young Marine, over 1,300 Japanese soldiers and civilians survived who otherwise would have died. Guy Gabaldon emerges from the chaos, exhausted and haunted by what he has seen. His daring nighttime missions are the stuff of legend among the Marines, though few outside the battlefield know his name. Eventually his actions are formally recognized. He receives the Silver Star for extraordinary heroism. Later, he is awarded the Navy Cross, one of the highest honors in the U.S. Navy, acknowledging the unprecedented number of enemy surrenders he achieved. But Guy never sought glory. He never wanted fame. For him, the war was not about medals. It was about saving lives wherever he could. After the war, Gabaldon returns to civilian life. His story, though remarkable, is largely forgotten by history for decades. Only later do books and documentaries recount his unique approach. A teenager using courage, language skills, and humanity to change the course of battle. Historians now recognize Gabaldon's actions were psychological warfare at its finest, achieving results far beyond what brute force could accomplish. He challenged conventional ideas of heroism in combat, proving that persuasion and empathy can be as powerful as weapons. Today, Guy Gabaldon stands as a reminder that in the darkest battles of history, individual courage, intelligence, and compassion can save thousands of lives, leaving a legacy far greater than medals or fame. In the chaos of war, he became the Pied Piper of Saipan, a young man who led hundreds from death into life.